Warning, the following video will contain language of a frank and explicit nature. Viewer discretion is advised. If you are easily upset by this kind of language, stop watching now. For everybody else, hey guys, Dave here. Now, earlier this week I reported breaking news that the NBC sitcom Powerless has been pulled from the NBC lineup, and the last 3 episodes, not 2, I thought it was 2, but actually the last 3 episodes are in hiatus as far as whether they will ever see the light of day again. So, I find it very important to say this, given that this is also the same week that several shows like Supergirl, The Flash, and Arrow have returned on the CW, and they may have their ups and downs, but for the most part, they've been doing more successful in getting certain things about the comic book genre right than Powerless has. Now, this begs the question, why did it fail? Now, before I get going, guys, I'm a fan. I am a huge fanboy. I raise my geek flag high and proudly. I do not like to shit on anybody's good time or what they enjoy. I hate it when people do it to me. I sure as hell don't like doing it to anybody else. But I see that there are fan groups that are passionate about the show, and they're trying to do what they can to save it. But I don't think that it can be at this point. Now, what I'm about to do is give my views and opinions as a comic book fan, as a comedian, and as a television fan. So, just bear that in mind, okay? Now, why did Powerless fail? Well, at first it was an iffy kind of concept anyway. I mean, the whole thing about being a world of superpowered beings and the show centering on those that weren't, this could work. Now, don't think I'm a hater on that. I'm not. In Kingdom Come, one of my favorite superhero stories, it followed from the perspective of Pastor Norman McKay. No powers, ordinary human, and he started having visions of the coming apocalypse, which happened to be a superhero Armageddon. It pointed out the fact that these people were living in a world of ordinary beings feeling insignificant and that their actions didn't matter. That it doesn't matter about if you're a sports guy, if you have someone that can run at the speed of light. It doesn't matter if you're going to be having a good space program because you've got people that can fly to the moon and back on a date. So, I'm not knocking that part. This could have been wonderful. I mean, when taken seriously, when given true thought and thought about passionately, it could have worked. I was willing to give it a chance. But then it seemed as if it didn't know what it was doing with itself. Before, it was supposed to be people working in an insurance office, because nothing says action-packed fun and excitement like an insurance company, especially in a superhero world. Now, it was an interesting concept. It also sounds very similar to the Marvel Comics property called Damage Control. But then they changed it up when one of the creative people left due to creative differences, and they changed it up to where people worked at Wayne Security. Okay, this makes sense. Bruce Wayne is a guy that has a company that likes to protect people. I can make this work. So, I give it a shot. And everyone on my channel just admits that this is not quality. And that's the problem. I was ragging on this damn show for a while, particularly because they can't even get the superheroes right. Now, instead of the main characters, which are currently tied up in properties for movies and television, the most we ever got to see of Batman was ominous music and a shadowy figure, which kind of works for Batman, but there was an entire episode involving Batman leaving one of his batarangs at the scene of a crime, and the guy is waiting for him to come get it to meet him. It was horrible. And then we've got the lesser heroes like Crimson Fox, which they use this character to death. The thing is, I don't know who the hell that was on the screen, but that wasn't Crimson Fox. Crimson Fox is actually one of 2 sisters, twins as a matter of fact, They had the abilities of enhanced speed, agility, claws built into their gloves, and I believe one of them also had animal senses as well as pheromone control, so they can turn men on. What we got was a watered-down Golden Age Superman in a skirt. Super strength, enhanced speed, leaping. I don't know who the fuck that was, but that wasn't Crimson Fox. Then you also had your own stand-in character of the Olympian, which so minor I had to look at this character up. I thought you were talking about the Alpha Centurion, but the Alpha Centurion doesn't suck that badly. And you essentially made him a narcissistic pretty boy, which you could have done that with Green Lantern Guy Gardner, but chose not to. Okay. Because apparently it's easier to put a guy with an interesting bod in a damn near naked outfit and just use him for eye candy. Comics have been known for that, sure. But what really pissed me off, the one episode I really tried to give a chance after missing a few, was the episode featuring Green Fury. Now, Green Fury has a interesting history, but the producers of this show got it wrong again. For starters, did you know that she hasn't used the name Green Fury in almost 30 years? When they rebooted things after Crisis, she was actually going by the name Green Flame. Then she just changed it to Fire. Now, I understand why they're trying to sound something better, but they just made her window dressing and the ex of Olympian. She didn't really do much except just she was the heroine of the week, and even then she was, like I said, she was just window dressing. She was bland. Now let me tell you about Green Fury. Her real name is Beatrice DaCosta, known as B. DaCosta to her friends. She was a member of the superhero team called the Global Guardians. Used to be actually a teammate with Jack-O-Lantern before he went bad. Now, her best friend on Global Guardians and later the Justice League International was Ice Maiden, one with ice powers. She has appeared before on the 1990s Justice League TV pilot featuring John Kassir, the voice of the Crypt Keeper, as the Atom. I'm not making this up. With Miguel Ferrer as the Weather Wizard. And for what the low budget of the show was, that was a better representation of Green Fire, or Fire to her friends, as she's now called, than Green Fury was on Powerless. She also made a voice cameo, as it were, or a name cameo, name drop on The Flash Season 1, when Harrison Wells was approached by a villain and was rattling off names of various people that died that he had to live with. Al Rothstein, Ralph Dibny, Grant Emerson, Will Everett, B. DaCosta. These are all the secret identities of superheroes like Amazing Man, Elongated Man, Atom Smasher, which later came back in Season 2 as a doppelganger from Earth 1 and Earth 2, also known as a Breacher. Damage is also another one. I was a Grant Emerson. B was mentioned, but did it mean that the Accelerator killed them, or they were just missing and we're waiting to see them? We don't know. We still don't know. But when those names were dropped, fans that knew these characters were waiting. And this was an important thing. It was featured on various comic book websites. These names mattered because the characters were well written. They were funny at times, but they also could be serious. We liked these characters. They were given focus and depth. In short, people cared about it. And to be honest, the producers on Powerless don't seem to give a fuck about the superheroes that they're actually using. They're just generic characters that could have been anyone. There could have been a dozen heroes or heroines they could have plugged in with the actual power set they were trying to go with, but they couldn't be bothered. They could have just made shit up, but then they wouldn't have the cred of coming from the DC universe. Well, he might as well have been completely made up by the producers because they didn't matter. They weren't even the characters from the comics. They were just pathetic representations made in a patchwork of a show that wasn't even that funny. I've watched dramas where I have laughed more than Powerless. It just seemed like a plug and play, drop in cookie cutter, ordinary sitcom pattern that they just happened to place in the DC universe. Now, don't get me wrong. The several members of the cast are talented, and Vanessa Hudgens does fill out those blouses rather well. But it was attempting to put some stars into something that was a pig from the very total beginning. People are fighting to try to save a show when the fact of the matter is, if the producers gave a damn about the characters from the DC universe and actually put as much effort into it as the people from The Flash or Legends of Tomorrow, other stuff did on other shows that are far successful, it would have been a hell of a lot of a better and high quality product. At this point, NBC, the network that gave us Knight Rider and Manimal and Misfits of Science, should have enough cred under their belt to try to do superheroes right on television, even if it is a sitcom. Unfortunately, after the treatment of Constantine and now Powerless, I honestly hope that unless someone pulls their heads out of their collective boardroom asses, don't ever, ever let NBC have any properties for superheroes on television again. I mean, I'm sorry, do you want it to go along the same lines of The Cape? The Cape. Remember that show? One season. And don't worry, though, if you want to see Powerless in the last 3 episodes, give it a year. You'll see it in the bargain bin at MegaCon for $20, 2 for $35, right next to the 90s pilot of the Justice League. Guys, I get what you're trying to do, and I'm not trying to kick you when you're down. I don't like doing that. But quite honestly, Powerless was an experiment, and it failed. It failed hard. I've done more to make myself laugh than that show ever could. I'm an old hand at comedy and stuff. I've been trying to get into that for a while, so I can be a more strict judge. And like I said, I'm not trying to crap on what you love, but the show could have been so much better. It could have been so much more. And the difference is the producers don't give a damn about the characters on the show. It's just an interchangeable prop to them, and that's not the way you want to do it. Comic book fans have fought long and hard about thinking that comic books are only for the funny pages and not to be taken seriously. People fought too long and hard. There's a place for comedy. There's a place for drama. But when a show meant to make you laugh doesn't, it's a failure. Don't try to bring back a failure. Look at what was wrong and fix your mistakes. See, I regularly roast the show Arrow because I used to love it, but then it started to decline in quality and the way they were treating various people. People ask me, well, Dave, how come you haven't roasted Powerless? Well, the answer is simple. I don't give a damn about trying to save Powerless. When I roast Arrow, I'm calling it attention to its mistakes so that the people that make the show can fix it. I don't give a fuck about trying to fix Powerless because they're not going to listen. They've made their minds up already. It cannot be salvaged. It cannot be saved. It's better to be taken out of their hands before they attempt to ruin any more of the property. That's just my opinion. But if you take a look, you'll probably find a lot of other people feeling the same way I do. How do you guys feel? Please let me know in the comments. Peace.